Function. You want more?
Oh my goodness. What y'all doing in that situation? Will grandma's life alert be bing bing and tinging? Will that mug be going off? In all seriousness, why work for somebody doing you like that? And why have somebody work for you that you want to do like that? Like, I don't understand. We all see how old she is. We know what era she grew up in. She was able to do that with nobody telling her it was wrong. Even though she knows it's wrong, we all adults know right from wrong. That is just disgusting. Could never be me, I can tell you that. Grand Rising, my people, and welcome to the B.O.D. HQ, where we are here for the $500 billion. So come, go with me and grow with me on a journey of discovering truth and leaving lies behind. Here, we look at some of the wildest videos from across the entire internet to see if we believe them or if we are being deceived. The B.O.D. is about showing information. You determine how you receive the message. But here, truth is revealed and lies, they're unsealed. You may have seen some of these videos before, but you haven't heard my take on them. And don't forget, all of these videos are for entertainment purposes only. And with enough being said, let's get right in the footage. Way better person than me.
For everything. But if you don't voice them and tell them or instruct them on what to do with the application, what do y'all think they're going to do? They're going to judge you by way of a credit score. Now, the reason why you can't judge me by a credit score is because I'm going to speak up and say, well, I have capacity to contract. I'm not a minor, so you don't have to judge me by credit scores. Because minors are judged by credit scores. People that don't have capacity to contract are judged by credit scores. People that don't understand contracting focus on credit scores.
What do y'all think? Y'all think he's trying to deceive us? Do we believe him? I mean, one thing is these people who do the consumer laws and these other things and pull out federal statutes and codes. I mean, everybody can say it's a farce all you want. But at the end of the day, they're getting real results. They are reading and understanding legalese, which is the term for law words that they use in law, legalese. They're understanding that. They're not just listening to what the narrative or what the world is telling people. They're actually reading, opening the book and reading themselves.
We're only important to our children if we can lead their mothers. I'm going to say that again. We as black men, we're only important to our children if we can lead their mothers. If we can't lead their mothers, the mothers seem and appear to be Superman. This my child. This my child. It's mine. How you go? So your value as a father, your words don't mean nothing, because guess what the mother gonna say? I don't give a damn what your daddy said. He don't run shit over her. So how can you be a superhero? Daddy is supposed to be a superhero. Meaning if daddy tell mama, I said this, You override. So if you can't override mama, how you a superhero, nigga? So that's why I'm saying, nah, homie, the black man, it's almost best for him to walk away from his children if he can't rule.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
It's almost best to walk away. Let that have full say so, because you don't rule.
Died in delinquency.
What do y'all think? Y'all believe him? Think he's trying to deceive us? I mean, I will never agree with everything that somebody says. I'm almost positive. But there were some things that I agreed with him in there. But that part about walking away from your children and let her rule, nah, hell no. No. I go through hell and high water just to show my kids that no matter what, I'm going to be there for them. No matter what their moms decide or choose to put me through, I'm still going to be there for them. Why? Because it wasn't their choice. They didn't ask to come here. It was me being reckless, living life the way I thought that I should have been living it, that has the children here. Right? And I understand that. Whether their moms do or not, I understand that. So, no. Men, do everything to show your child that you love them. Do everything to show your child that you'll be there for them through hell and high water. It's tough. It's hard. It's destroying. It's a lot of things. But at the same time, your kids will love and cherish you for that. Your kids will love and cherish that you stood the test of time. They're going to be able to see what parent actually was the parent that was actually trying to do the best for them. Right? Like, my mother never talked crap about my real father. Never. She always told me, I don't have to say anything about him. He's going to show you who he is himself, which was 1,000% true. It was 1,000% true. She never talked bad about him. But my sister's mothers, they trashed my father, and you can tell that they did by the bravado of my sisters. Not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying that I grew up way differently from our siblings, and I respected our father way more than my siblings. But at the same time, I mean, what do you guys think? Is he wrong for saying that? Express yourself down below.
Have been tied in. The government done one of the most fantastic studies at the Tidewater Detention Center, where they know that 98% of your hardened, repeat, violent criminals eat a minimum of 450 pounds of white sugar a year. The average American eats 128 pounds. They did a blind study, took half the children off of white refined sugar and left the other half on, and sent a team of doctors in there and didn't tell what was what. And every one of them that wasn't eating sugar, you could see a whole decrease and a totally disappearance of violence and hostility. How can you go through grade school, high school, and college, taught how to make money, but not taught how to live without asking some questions?
Look at this.
What do you guys think? You believe him? Think he's trying to deceive us? I mean, I don't know. I'm welcoming all answers. What I will say is that when you start looking into products and start looking into food and realizing that sugar is in literally everything, sugar is in the spices that you use to season in your food. Why? But it's in everything. So it's really hard to get away from. So, is sugar really the issue? I don't know. Express yourself down below. Let me know.
Statistics. Median household income in America, 5 major cultural groups. East Indians replace white people. Household median income annual, $124,000 a year. What is the marriage rate in the East Indian community? 94%. Second, also replace white people, are Chinese Asians. Average annual household income, $109,000. What is the marriage rate in the Chinese Asian community? About 65%. Third are white people. Average household median income, $81,000 a year. Marriage rate, 57%. Fourth are Hispanics. Average household income, $63,000 a year. Marriage rate, 67%. And we are at the bottom. Average household income $52,000 a year. Marriage rate 34%. Wow. Only 66% of men, black men, are married, and less than 70% of black women are married. 29% will never ever get married.
What do you guys think? You believe him? Think he's trying to deceive us? I mean, he said these are the statistics. From looking at those statistics, why do you think things are the way they are? It seems like the people towards the bottom have a lot of work to do. That's what it at least seems like to me.
Gases need to be contained, right? If you had a jar of air and you walked into a room that had no air and you opened it, it's gonna fill the available space. Gases violently fill the available space, up, down, left.
Right.
But they tell us that gravity is holding down the air and the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Their argument is, well, it's a gradation. The air gets thinner and thinner. It does. The air pressure, keep that word in mind, top of Mount Everest is very thin.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't have air pressure without a container, right? If you have a big, tank of oxygen or whatever, or propane, and it's half full, the bottom will be liquid, the middle would be thicker gas, and it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. Put a hole in that anywhere, it's all gone. Right. But they want us to believe that gravity can hold down air, but I can drink through a straw and defy gravity. I can pull things up with the weak vacuum of my mouth and lungs. It's again, my shirt says, "You're not stupid, it's stupid." Because once you actually look at what they taught you,
Mm-hmm.
you wonder how you ever believed it. And it's because they got you before you can talk. Your parents might have put NASA sheets on your bed. Not for us. We were pre-NASA, but now kids have NASA sheets. They have mobiles of planets over their bed. They have Sesame Street as astronauts on. Disney and NASA, same company.
Right, exactly.
Right? It's the same company.
So the question
do know is that the earth and the water is completely flat, for as far as we can see and as far as we've measured, and the horizon is completely flat as far up as we go. All amateur rockets and all amateur balloons sent up over 20 miles, as high as they can go. The horizon is flat all the way around, and it rises to the camera all the way up. It rises to the level of the camera. Now, this is totally impossible on a ball. No matter how big the ball was, as you rise up, you have to look down to see the curvature, look down to see the horizon. But what actually happens if you go up in a hot air balloon, the horizon rises right on up with you the whole way up. Just keeps on coming up at eye level as high as you're going to go. That's just impossible on a ball. If you think about it, if you're on a ball and you're in a hot air balloon or an airplane, you should not be able to see out your window, straight out your window, the horizon. You should have to look down, further and further down, the higher you ascend to be able to see that horizon. But you'll never look down to the horizon on the earth. It will always rise up to your level.
What do you guys think? You believe them? Think they're trying to deceive us? I like putting these clips in here because I'm still trying to figure out which one it is. Is it a globe? Is it flat? What's going on here? Like I said, no matter what it is, let's just keep having it do what it's been doing to sustain life. Can we all agree with that at least? But I do have questions too about the globe, right? How are we going 500,000 miles through space, but the stars are in the same place every night? I don't understand that. How can we look at satellite images and pictures and footage from the space station, and that space station is supposedly moving 17,500 miles an hour, not 170, not 7, not 17,000 miles an hour. That's pretty dang fast. But if you look at the images or the camera, you don't see that movement, right? Another thing that we have to think about is gravity is what's called a theory. There are things called theories. There are things called laws, right? Theories are just educated guesses on what people believe is basically the best case scenario, or what they truly believe has to be happening because there's no other explanation to say. But then there's laws, and laws are definite, right? So it's called the theory of gravity. It's not a law. and it's called the law of density. So the law of density, I understand that. That's like when you're in the ocean, right? And you blow bubbles and your bubbles go to the top of the water, right? It's lighter, it's going up. That's the law of density at work there. So the theory of gravity hasn't been proven, but the law of density has. That's just my take on it. I'm still trying to figure it out. Of course, express yourself down below and let me know what you think and believe.
Someone is playing a game, either texting or on dates, and they're playing a game. What is that saying about them if they're trying to play a game?
They're entering relationship with a desire to preserve their ego rather than truly connect with that person. It's more important that they appear desirable than then they create something that is desirable between the two of them. So if it's a case of somebody hasn't texted me in a couple of days, I'm not going to text them in a couple of days, but I'm going to post a really pretty picture online. Or if a man is like, oh, she didn't answer me back, or she didn't compliment me, no, I'm not going to give her any compliments. What you're really signaling is, I'm so desperate to be loved that I'll push it away and make you think that I don't want it, just so then if you reject me first, I can feel like I saved my soul by not investing too much. So there is self-preservation, but in the process is self-destruction. Yeah, sadly. So, and I've been there. We've all been there. I think we've all been there. We don't want to look like the idiot. We don't want to look needy. But I always just say to people that if in the process of communicating
in 19, what do you guys think? You believe her? Think she's trying to deceive us? I mean, she says we've all been there, and I'm sure that a lot of us could relate to that. What I would say is I'm going to shoot my shot at a female. All she can do is say no. If she say no, I go about my business, on to the next. Literally just like that. If you're not interested in me, trust me, baby girl, I am not interested in you. I promise you that.
1988, I went to New York City to visit my uncle, Lewis Wharton, in Hempstead, New York. He was a Black history professor. And he handed me this book called The Black Hebrews. Okay? And he said, James, you need to learn about the Black Jews. And you know what I did in my ignorance? I laughed at him so hard and pushed the book back in his hand. This is published back in March 1969. I laughed so hard. I said, there's no such thing as Black Jews. No such thing as Black Jews. He told me, boy, if you don't know, learn. It always stuck with me. If you don't know, learn. Stop looking at this world and your Bible through blue eyes and use those brown ones God gave you. Well, Uncle, I did. And in 2006, I published this book, hard copy. It's called Blacks in the Bible.
On this video, again, I am going to show the images that the Eurocentrists who want to rewrite history and claim that the Black Moors who ruled Spain for over 780 years were, in fact, not black at all, and that they were white. I am providing irrefutable evidence as to the race of the Moors who actually ruled and controlled Spain and much of Europe. Clearly, this Moor, who you can see for yourself if you go to Europe, is a black man, as is the crest of the Moor's head there, the same one that is found on the crest for the town. There it is again. And these images are all over Europe. This is inside of a Catholic monastery. There's a Moor's head there who is clearly a black man, and there is another in a position of distinction. So what I'm going to do is go through these images and let you see them for yourself. Of course, there are those who would like to say that if they were Moors, they were slaves, but yet still they cannot explain the fact that so many of the Moorish artifacts show the black Moors in positions of distinction, positions of honor, and wearing crowns. This is a patron saint that is well known. These are the actual Moors. Now, what they do, what the Eurocentrists do, is they'll show you pictures of Moors or people in Moorish attire who were not black, and that's all they would show you, and they would use that to try to explain to you that the Moors were in fact black. What they can't explain is that the ones wearing crowns and the ones on the crests, the crests that are there even today in many of the Moorish cities and Moorish towns, are of black people. So yes, there were mulattoes and there were people who would be considered as white who made up the Moorish army. But those, for the most part, who were the Moorish kings were, in fact, Negroes. There was a common phrase that was used by the white people of France and other parts of Europe describing the Moors. They were described as black as ink. This is another crest. This is a legacy and a history that, although they are trying desperately to do so, the Eurocentrists cannot steal from those that it truly belongs to. because the evidence is overwhelming. The evidence is extremely valuable, and it is extremely prized. I myself lived in Europe for 3.5 years, and I've seen many of these things live and in person for myself. And it is astounding that the Eurocentrists, who I believe are primarily from the Western world, want to deny an obvious truth rather than accept it and embrace it. This is a coin with a black boar's head on it. They have no explanation that's plausible. Whatever explanation they come up with, and I'm sure they will, is ludicrous, to say the least. They cannot explain the consistency of black Moors wearing crowns and in positions of leadership. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. A picture should certainly refute 1,000 lies. This is a chair. Take a good look. That is a black Moor. It's almost like a throne. They want you to believe that black people were naked savages running around. These are black as well. Take a good look. Black people, not white. Running around in the jungle, throwing spears at elephants until slavery. This is a history and a legacy. Black people, they don't want you to know about. Why deny the obvious truth when the evidence is so overwhelming? You only make yourself look like a fool. The images speak for themselves.
Whole nother. What do you guys think? You believe him? Think he's trying to deceive us? Let me know who's been to Europe. Are these black figurines everywhere around Europe? This is not the first time I heard that. Not that exact narrative, but that people of color were kings and queens over there as well, like around the Dark Ages and stuff like that. That the Moors are the ones who fixed the city after the Vandals destroyed it, put lights and lamps on the streets. I mean, what do you guys think? Why do you think that the narrative is that we only came from slaves when there's definitely pictures of people of color in position of power? They look like they were royalty almost. Why would that be hidden from us? Why would that be flipped or script? Why wouldn't that be there for us? Why wouldn't they want us to know that? Why in America do they only teach that people of color came from slaves in 1619? I mean, I don't know. I think it's pretty interesting. If you got more information, express yourself down below.
Session that I have to come through with the evidence, but it's there. But that King George, King Charles, King James, and George Washington were what you would call melanated. And I'm going to explain this. So basically that they are quote unquote what you would call black, but actually considered as white. Why? Because anybody in this time that came over from Europe, Ireland, or Scotland to what you're calling right now North America was classified in the documents as white, no matter what their skin tone was. Because you had a bunch of black Irish, black Scottish, and this is why you get pyramids inside of Ireland. You see how they got all the pyramids and all this Egyptian lore out in Ireland, and they're like, where did this come from? Oh, the Queen Cleopatra came here and then she set up a... So they give you all of the, hey, let's tell you a fairy tale, but they're not coming to the specifics about what the hell is going on. Why is it necessary to erase people from history? What was going on? And so we find out that basically so George Washington, as you know, was a Freemason. They show you that he was a Freemason and he was pledged to the King of Britain. However, something goes on around this time where there's a complete mutiny from the King of Britain because the King of Britain he gets his head chopped off. And
what do you guys think? You believe him? Think he's trying to deceive us? Were these men who we were taught were Caucasian, were they really people of color? Were they really melanated beings? Did they really look more like me than what we were ever told? I think it's interesting. What I do know is that they talk about America and they talk about George Washington being our first president. but they slightly teach us about what's called the Articles of Confederation. Now, in the Articles of Confederation, it was actually, I believe, 7 or 8 men of color who were the president before George Washington. And they said that these men of color were the acting presidents because most of who they called Caucasian, and now we don't know, but who they called Caucasian, their family was back in Britain, England, wherever they were at. They were back there. And so it would make sense why you wouldn't say, "Hey, I'm the leader of the revolt," because your people back home would be hurt, where the king and them actually are. So I did, like, the Articles of Confederation, they barely teach you about it in school, but when you go look at it, it was 7 to 8 melanated men who were saying they were the president of the United States before George Washington. That's just something to think about as well. I don't know. What do you guys think? Express yourself below and let me know.
Welcome to Savage Rockets Prep, and to this very important and very special video that I'm doing covering who the true biblical Hebrews are. First off, I want to say, as if the warning at the beginning of the video wasn't enough, I want to make sure and reiterate this, that I'm not a racist person, nor am I a person that hates certain individuals. I love all of humanity. I want to see all of humanity making the new kingdom. But nevertheless, there is true Hebrews. There's a true people of the Most High that is scattered throughout the nations of the earth this day. It is not whom that many people believe they are, such as the so-called Jews in the nation-state of Israel that we so see before us right now. I would interject that the true biblical Hebrews are the so-called African-American people that are scattered abroad throughout the world. Now, I will show you through a mass amount of evidence that I'll put up on the screen right here, verses below, and you can do your due diligence and research these things out to see if they be so. It is very important that you understand who the true Hebrews are, because that end-time prophecy, lots of it, surround these individuals. I am a Gentile. I know exactly who I am, but it seems to be the one group of people in the world that have been, by the rest of the world, tried to be dumbed down to the fact or completely erase their history from history, is the African-American people, so-called, that are scattered throughout the nations. Now, please understand that not every single black person is a true Hebrew, but it is those that are under the curse of Deuteronomy 28. And you'll be able to tell by the time that I'm done giving you this information in this video who the true Hebrews are, and you may be one of them. So let's begin. In the early pictures that you would see depicted in worship places, churches, and things of this nature, as you can see right here in this image right here, and others that I'll continue to put up, that Messiah was depicted as a black person, an African-American person. And this is totally different to what we see as Roman Catholicism was further introduced and spread abroad throughout the world. We always see a white Caucasian Messiah being depicted. And I want to reiterate throughout this that I'm not being racist. I love every single person in humanity. It's very important we know who the true Hebrews are. And anyway, as time progressed, though, these paintings and the depictions went from the black African-American features to a more Caucasian white feature. And this wasn't done overnight. This was a slow sifting process as to what we have today. Now, in every church house and on their walls, we see a white Messiah. This could not be further from the truth. Now, I'll put links in the bottom of the video description where you can go see a lot of these abroad on the internet. And I encourage you to research Google, because there's so many remaining artifacts of this from centuries before. As we move forward, there is, after Noah come off the ark, and the sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the sons of Ham is a guidepost that we can use to help us find the true Hebrews, because the sons of Ham, the true Hebrew Israelites, always blended with the sons of Ham. And I'll give you many examples of this. As we read in Genesis 10, it gives the genealogy, and so we can see the beginning of the division of people. But the Egyptians come from their father Ham. In Palestine, if you look at some of the people that are descendants from long ago, they're black. Although we have other people of ethnic background moved into Palestine today, the people that intermingled with true Hebrews, the Palestinians, many of them are black. And that is from generations back. Not only this, but the scripture states that in Amos 9 and 7, that the Hebrews are like the Ethiopian to him. If we look at Ethiopia, I find that most people have no problem understanding that the people there are of black African nature. Now, the sons of Ham, though, as we find in the scripture, we can see that Joseph blended with the sons of Ham, because whenever his other brothers came to receive goods and merchandise to take back to help their family, they did not know that it was him. Now, this could have not went down if he was another ethnic background, whatever color that may be, to blend with the black African-American Egyptian at that time. Sorry, not American at all, but the black African Egyptian. Okay, so Moses, and make sure to read the scripture as well, Moses blended with the sons of Ham, the Egyptians, because they passed as their own people. We can find this recorded in scripture. In Acts chapter 21, we find Shaul, Paul, passed as a Egyptian, and was asked this because he spoke Greek. If a man spoke Greek and he was Caucasian color as me, the Roman soldier may have just thought, hey, he's a Greek. But he had to ask him because the ethnic code. Yahushua fled into Egypt, where his mother and father took him into the land of Egypt whenever Herod saw his life. Therefore, these people were able to blend and, look the same. This is so important to understand because not only is it found in Scripture, but even secular examples such as this right here, National Geographic, showed the black pharaohs of Egypt. See, before the Arab people came in and took over what is modern-day Egypt now as an ethnicity, the people that was there beforehand were of African black characteristic. This is so important to understand because when history is erased by the following generations, that is what is history, unless you do your due diligence and go back and sort these things out moving forward. In modern Egypt, we find that the Egyptian premier Nasser spoke to the Israeli people at that time whenever they were returning to their said nation, and it was supposed to be the true Israelites. He said, you left black, you came back white, we cannot accept you. And you can see a quote put up here, right here, with the quote up. Now, that's not me, and once again, I'm not trying to be racist, anti-Semitic, or whatever you would want to label it. This is other people's statements. This is historical fact evidence. Hitler. I cannot think of a more murderous, sadistic, evil human being than Hitler. Nevertheless, Hitler provides us some very interesting evidence that he knew as well who the true Hebrews was. In a film documentary that he showed to his generals that is documented in Time Life magazine, as you can check out for yourself. Also, there's video links in the video description below to other evidence of this where you can see the hard copy of the book being spoke of in the video. Now, that doesn't mean that I endorse everything in those videos and other people's thoughts. I'm just showing you that this book does exist. In Time Life magazine, it was labeled, I believe the book was labeled The Nonsense from every time that I've ever seen it. I've only seen the book a couple times in my life so far, and I want to get a copy of it because it's so powerful. Nevertheless, Hitler shows to his generals who the true Hebrews are and who the posers are. And he describes to his generals that the white face kind of, people always say that I kind of look Jewish. That's actually a fair statement because my background is Germanic, Russian. I have, that is my ancestry. Well, we'll find out later in this video as described to you that the Ashkenazi Jews are from that region in the world. I'm not a Jew. I'm not an Israelite. I'm a Gentile that has accepted Messiah in my heart, Yahushua, to keep his commands, do his Torah and his Father's commands, and trust in him so that I may have eternal salvation. Now, Hitler explained the white person that was posing to be an Israelite as the bastard. And please forgive me, I mean not to be profane. I am describing exactly what was shown in the film. It also showed a African man of nature and facial feature, hair texture, as the true Hebrew. And it broke this down and digressed very deep. It went extremely deep. It was profound to me how much emphasis he put on explaining to his generals who the true Hebrew were. It was shocking. I encourage you to look into that. If Hitler, a psychopathic murderer, that I totally acknowledge that genocide was taking place and that Hitler tried to kill many people, especially Auschwitz, is a terrible atrocity upon humanity. But nevertheless, these people are not the true biblical Hebrews. They suffered great murderous atrocities against their people, but they're not the true biblical Hebrews. Please understand this. Moving forward from this, though, the Ashkenazi, it's very important that you understand who Ashkenazis are. They're not the real Hebrew. Matter of fact, a lot of them look like me, which I just told you. I'm not a Hebrew or a Jewish person or Israelite. I am a Gentile. I cannot reiterate that enough. In the 11th century, these people began to really take on the characteristic, try to personify themselves as if they were the true Hebrew, which it cannot be further from the truth. They speak something that's more along the lines of Yiddish. Whenever I first began working in ministry, I wanted to learn to make sure I knew how to read, write, and understand and speak Hebrew, so that I've done exactly what the Master commanded, Hebrew and Gentile, in his command. As a person that speaks English, I found that it was very imperative very quickly that I get back to the foundation and find out exactly what the Scripture said. As I went to a foreign language academy, one of the first things that got brought up to me was that I spoke kind of sounded Yiddish. I inquired as to what Yiddish was. I found out that it's kind of a Germanic language tone mixed with Hebrew. With my Germanic background and my own family's lineage, it made perfect sense to me, and I understood all of a sudden exactly what they were trying to say. In going to Hebrew school, this brought up an important point to me at that point, though, is why would that be the case? Because the Hebrew people should always have been the Hebrew people. Their tongue should not be something intermingled with other people. As we move forward in Genesis 10, verse 3, we find Ashkenaz. And there's actually, the people are actually explained in the Scripture where they're from, who they are. So they're not Hebrews. And the Scripture itself attests to this. So these people are posers. At this point, whether a person wants to accept and acknowledge that or not, the written word is the written word. Neither you nor I can do anything to change that. Well, unless you're like the beast power in Rome and want to change times and laws, I guess you could probably attempt to change scripture as well, but I'm not Babylon. I'm a servant of the true Most High, and I want to do exactly what his word says. The true Hebrews will be regathered when Messiah returns. These people will be gathered out of all the nations abroad that they've been scattered amongst. The nation-state of Israel right now, many people refer to it as the terrorist nation-state of Israel. I refer to it as the poser state of Israel. Because the people that are there, most of them do not even acknowledge Messiah, nor do they even keep the Jewish faith. They're actually nothing more than people in a land that's not their own. That's just a factual statement. Now, what I want to do now is I want to go to Deuteronomy 28. Because Deuteronomy 28, out of all the peoples and nations of the world, tongues, ethnics, and backgrounds, they define out one population of people that are more unique than any population of people upon the planet Earth. They're the only people that meet these characteristics and therefore can be the only people that are the true Hebrews. So let's begin. And I will prove to you that it is the people that is defined as the African American that have been scattered abroad throughout the nations of the world because of the sins and transgression of breaking mastery office.
What do you guys think? You believe him? Think he's trying to deceive us? I know those clips were a little longer, but I really wanted to get that information out. Why? Because I think that it's definitely okay to challenge the narrative that everybody's been sold, right? It's his story, so people are only telling us their story of the truth, right? The victor always writes the stories, right? The losers are oppressed and made to take the victor's lifestyle on, right? So that's pretty interesting. It's just with the whole Hebrew Israelite narrative and things like that. Obviously, I've read the Bible many times front and back. I've read other religious books front and back as well, because I'm just trying to figure it out, because I don't care what color the Most High is. It'll always be character over color for me, but I just want the truth so I can teach mine the truth, right? So I went on my spiritual journey trying to figure all of these things out myself. The book he was talking about, it's called The Nazis. That's real. When I seen that years ago, when I looked into that book was over $1,700. They started printing the book after 1944 and then stopped printing it, I believe, in like the 1960s. And now the book is super hard to get a hold of. But I seen excerpts from the book out of my own eyes, and I'm gonna pull a video up about it and I'll show the book. And I'm not saying I agree with what Hitler was doing either. But he was saying that the people who they call the you-know-what people over there now are the German word for bastards. And he also said in that book that the people of color were the true chosen children of the Most High. Now, what I would say about the Bible is, can we really believe that the Bible is the be-all, end-all, and it was never altered, it was never changed, knowing dang well that the person who put the Bible out already took like 16 plus books out of it? Can we really say it's meat for the soul when we know that things were taken out of it? For me to believe it hook, line, and sinker, I would have to believe that the people who were pushing civilizations before, who were leading civilizations before, I would have to think that they were good, great, righteous people. And the people who are pushing our nation, our civilization forward and leading us, they're not good or righteous people. And I would almost beg to say that they're following the same things that kept people in power back then, as opposed to creating something new that's really meat for the soul for the average person. One thing that worries me is that we have to understand that the Christian crusades are still responsible for killing more people than any other war. I believe it was like up to 80 to 100 million people were slaughtered. And literally the Christian Crusades was here. Believe in this Bible, take what this Bible says, or be punished and unalived. So the Christian Crusades, look them up. By the way, they were gallivanting around making people take this, and their asses were out. It was like their attire for their uniforms. You don't have to believe me. Go look it up yourself. Think that I'm crazy, stupid, a fool, and all of the above for the videos I play or the information that comes out of my mouth, but go look it up. Look it up yourself. I thought when I was hearing the information for the first time, these people were all of that and some more. But when I actually took time to educate myself and get out of my ego, this information is mind-blowing to me because they've only sold one narrative. And I can see the benefit of the narrative that they sold, but I can also see the benefit of the narrative that's being pushed now, of things being said now. And I can see why other people who've been in power don't want this information out or don't want people to even almost think like this. Empowerment is something crazy. You can empower somebody to really make changes, vast changes around the world. And I mean, it's possible, but people think that it's not possible. But it is. So what do you guys think? You believe these last clips? I mean, even though he was there putting the receipts on right in front of you, you're still going to say, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about, oh, this, that, and the third. And what I will say is I can't be anti-Semitic. My whole life I was told that I was of Jewish descent. I am of Jewish descent, and I'm not a Caucasian. But my family knows who their family is and our history. So, can I be anti-Semitic because I'm saying that I'm Jewish as well? That I have Jewish descent in me as well? I mean, I don't know. But I have been told that my whole life, among other things. Like Irish, Indian, German. I was told my grandfathers, and I already know my greats, they have all these other lineage inside of them. And I know that for a fact. So I've always been more aware and that I didn't come from a slave. But everything's not set in stone. More information comes out every day. And my opinions and my thoughts, they will change with better information and more knowledge. I'm not somebody that's going to be stuck in a box because this is what it is. Nope. If I hear information that piques my interest, that goes against my narrative, I'm going to research it. See if it's real. See if it's right. If it's real, good, golden information, I may adopt those same ideologies or I may go with that same narrative. I can say something about something today and be completely wrong and come back and say, hey, I was wrong. Here's what I think and believe now. I have to educate myself a little bit. I'm man enough to say that. A lot of you aren't big enough to say, hey, I was wrong. Let me correct myself. Y'all will still stay on this tragic road of nowhere just to not admit being wrong. And I don't understand that. It doesn't benefit you or make you better as a person. Well, let me know about these last clips. Express yourself down below.
This nigga drinking water. This nigga drinking water. This nigga's parched.
Hey, hey. Before we go any further, that is true. People of color will try to clown you for literally anything. They will say anything about anything. It'd be funny half the time. I ain't gonna lie. It'd be funny as hell. But a lot of times it shows that box that we in, right? That box that we in that everybody seems to want to keep us in. But it takes us to break that narrative and get out of it. But he ain't lying. Black people will clown you for anything. People of color will clown you for anything. Anything.
All minds discuss other people. Gossip. Good minds discuss events. Great minds discuss ideas.
I think we're ready for a female president. Think about it, man. We could take over any country and leave with half their shit. Nowadays, women can be anything men can be. Doctors, lawyers, men.
Hey, what do you guys think? He's a comedian. I think he's pretty funny. But what do you guys think? Do we believe him? Is he trying to deceive us? Is what he said valid? I mean, I don't know. I think it was pretty funny that if she becomes our president, she could take half of every country's shit, because that's exactly what happens when women divorce men. Did you help them work for that? No. And I ain't talking about the women who's been with their husbands for umpteen years and things like that nature. That's not what I'm speaking. I'm speaking of the women who get with men, they're with them for a season and divorce them because they know they can take half of their crap. That's wrong, if you ask me. But the court systems allow it. You have to ask yourself why. Why would they even allow that?
The hypocrisy is immense in the Democratic Party. The party that cries about how Donald Trump is a threat to democracy just forced out the candidate that their voters chose and nominated a candidate that no one voted for. The hypocrisy is immense in the Democratic Party.
You better. What do you guys think? You believe Elon? You think Mr. Musk is trying to deceive us? I mean, I can say that I grew up as a Democrat with all of my family believing that it was right to be a Democrat. And it wasn't until I educated myself going through high school about what the parties really were, right? So, I had to understand, first off, nobody, red or blue, Republican or Democrat, are doing what the people want done. And I think that's why Mr. Trump is such a threat to what's going on, because he's already shown and proven that he's going to do better things for the American people. That's just my belief, right? But I can say that I was educated to the point, and I was always real big on politics, that I did not vote for Barack Obama. And I can proudly say that. Why? Because he didn't do anything for people of color. So he duped y'all too, right? He duped y'all too. What did he do? Let me know what he did for people of color specifically. He didn't, which he should be doing for everybody. But I'm saying most of the people of color voted for him because they thought he was going to do something amazing for people of color. I did not vote for him. I write my own name in. I know I'll do the best for our nation. Me, not these people who went to all these Ivy League schools and all these people who are out of touch with reality. You can write your own name in. Mickey Mouse gets more votes than the third party every year. What are we talking about here? Right? So, but I can sit here and say that people who are voting Democrat, well, they're not doing anything for the people that they're pandering to. Like, it disgusts me that Kamala Harris is going to sit here and hey, yo, and all this, that, and Quavo this, and get all this quote unquote black support just to get your vote. Where was it before? What has she done for you guys? I mean, the Democrats love to say, look at this, look at this, look at this, but they're no saints. In another video, Barack's saying that everybody messes with elections. That came out of Barack's mouth. Excuse me, I apologize. Barry Sorrento's mouth. Right? Y'all voted for a man and y'all didn't even know his name. Y'all voted for Barack Hussein Obama when the name was Barry Sorrento. Everybody said his name is not Barack, his birth certificate's not this, that, and the third, and everybody was like, oh, nonsense. He would never be president if that was the case. As soon as that man left office, there was a show on Netflix that said Barry Sorrento. Well, you can't make this up. But y'all let these people lie and pander to y'all all you want.
Listen to me and listen to me good. Don't you ever, and I mean ever forget how they played you in order to make somebody else feel comfortable.
Walking down the street, if you don't want to go to jail because you don't got no ID on you, you literally can it, all you have to do is just refer to Colander versus Lawson.
Colander versus Lawson.
Yeah, it was determined in the Supreme Court that no person can be detained for failure to present identification.
Nice.
It is.
What do y'all think? Y'all believe him? Y'all think he's trying to deceive us? Is it really people? Is it really police like profiling people and walking up on them and asking them for their identification for no reason? Is that what's really going on? I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've yet to have that happen to me. I live in a pretty big city, the biggest city in the state. That's not happened to me. I'd like to think that these officers got bigger fish to fry. I like to think that they're not just out there messing with anybody for no reason. I mean, there's a lot of them that probably are, but not all of them for sure. And I'll never say that I hate police, because I don't. I don't. I have people who are police officers that I say I love. I have a brother that's a police officer. I love him. I don't care what profession he chose to take. At the same time, I don't like anybody who doesn't do their job. I don't like anybody who abuses power. I don't care if you're a police officer, a judge, prosecutor, lawyer, doctor. There's no room for that in society. Right? But what do you guys think? If people are unevenly profiling you, there's a little nugget. Drop that on them. See what they do. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Like I said, if somebody just comes up to me asking me for ID, I'm definitely going to question them and ask them what you need it for, why. I didn't commit a crime, and we're going to go from there. But I just can't sit and really believe that these people are just walking up on people for no reason at all and being like, give me your ID, and they've done absolutely nothing. That'd be I don't know. But what do you guys think? Express yourself down below. Maybe I'm out of touch. Maybe I don't have a clue. Maybe I need to wake up. I'm not saying it don't happen, but does it happen enough for people to be broadcasting like this is what you do to stop it? Hey, I don't know. Express yourself down below, please.
An older lady tell me she's, I think, just past 40, and her husband, I think, is like in his late 30s, like maybe like 41 and 39. They've been married for a while. I was talking with her about some problems we were having in our marriage, and she said, Joyce, what it sounds like to me is that your issue is that you are married to a real man, and a real man is not going to be ruled by a woman. And that hit me like a ton of bricks, and it immediately came to my mind when I was reading this excerpt. When she says, don't go down the path of expressing criticism, disapproval, and an ultimate lack of acceptance for your husband because it may cause rebellion, she's telling the truth. A real man is not going to allow himself to be a pushover to the woman he has chosen.
What do you guys think? You believe her? You think she's just trying to deceive us and spin a narrative? I mean, I'm not married, so I can't speak from that narrative, but I can definitely speak from a man's standpoint that says I'm not going to allow a woman to rule over me or a man. It is not going to happen. When I go to work, I work, but you're going to have to respect me as a man. I'm a man first. There's more jobs. You disrespect me, I'm gone. I'm speaking my piece of my mind. Right? And for me, if it's forget me, it'll always be forget you. I mean, if it's forget me, it'll always be forget you. What do you guys think? You believe her? Express yourself down below.
So this is the infamous Dred Scott v. Sanford case that was done back in 1856. And as you can read, this is the remarks from Judge Gaston. And he says, according to the laws of this state, speaking about North Carolina, says Judge Gaston, in delivering the opinion of the court, all human beings within it who are not slaves fall within one of two classes. Whatever distinctions may have existed in the Roman laws between citizens and free inhabitants, they are unknown from our institutions. Before our revolution, it's the American Revolution, it says all free persons born within the dominions of the King of Great Britain, whatever their color or complexion, were native-born British subjects. So once again, just showing you, if you trace your ancestry, your genealogy back to the colonies, no matter your skin complexion, you was a subject of Great Britain. Even though King George may have left you here, the King of England has returned, King Clifford Jefferson.
What do y'all think? Y'all believe him? Y'all think he's trying to deceive us? It just said we all pretty much Great Britain. Then we just seen a million pictures of people of color over there. And now we see that case, which is case law, is saying that. This is crazy. I mean, it's something to think about. I mean, it's interesting, to say the least. What do you guys think? Express yourself down below. Let me know. Please and thank you.
I have ultimately closed my clinic. I have let go of my prescription capacity as a doctor. I can no longer prescribe drugs because I am convinced the only thing I can really do with a drug now is harm. There is no way that a human, myself or otherwise, is going to find a new chemical that is going to change the potential or capacity of that temple to do itself better. I just wholly now understand that to be absolutely an impossible premise because the design was so perfect at its origin. And any disease is a decrement away from that original design, not a failure of the design that now needs to be improved. We are that original design of this most complex expression of light interacting with water, interacting with protein, or the expression of building blocks of life itself. And for that, we built these temples that we call bodies, you know.
What do you guys think? You believe him? You think he's trying to deceive us? I mean, I think it's pretty interesting that as a doctor, he said, I'm done. I'm over it. I'm done with it. And his belief. I mean, we got to understand, doctors are paid to treat people, not to cure people. They are paid to treat people, not to cure people. Also, a doctor, whenever they're helping you, they're taking an educated guess. Because they're saying, hey, what worked for you, and you were showing these same symptoms, it should work for them because they're showing these same symptoms. Now, in a lot of cases it does, but in some cases it just doesn't. So they're really taking educated guesses at what they believe is wrong with you. So what do you guys think? You believe them? Are they trying to deceive us? Do you think it's just a perpetual pit of money for them? They don't really want us cured? Remember, a cured patient is a lost patient because you don't get to collect on that money anymore. So what do you guys think? Express yourself down below. I got questions. If you got answers, please express yourself down below. Well, if you made it this far, I want to thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on the way out. Tell us how we can improve and grow the channel. Hit that notification bell to make sure you're here for the next one. And don't forget, all of these videos are for entertainment purposes only. Have a grand rest of your existence. Always remember, fortunate feelings forever and fortunate vibrations forever. And until next time.